Test review 2.2, solving equations and distributive property. We're going to work through a couple examples, and then you can always find the full key worked out on Canvas as well. So let's start with number 3. Solving equations, you need to be able to use your models and solve the equation algebraically. So we're going to do both. So right here, I'm going to bring down my equation. W plus 9 equals 5W plus 5. All right, so both sides, when I'm looking at my algebra tiles, I want to move all of my variables to one side of my equation. So in order to do that, I'm going to make 0 pairs, and I'm going to subtract one variable from both sides. These make my 0 pairs and cancel. Same thing down here for your equation. It's the same thing as subtracting 1W from both sides. And you're left with 9 equals 4W plus 5. And that matches what our algebra tiles say. Okay? Now I need to move all of my numbers to one side of my equation. Since I moved all my variables to the right, I'm going to move all of my numbers to the left. So in order to do that, I'm going to make 0 pairs. Okay, so here's 5 0 pairs on this side. All of these cancel. And I need to add 5 0 pairs over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of these cancel. That's the same thing as looking at your equation as subtracting 5 from both sides. 9 minus 5 is 4, and you have 4 W's left. And that's exactly what your equation looks like. Then you have to match up for every one W that you have on the right. You have to see how many of your numbers match on the left. And in this case, there is 1. So we're dividing by 4, and you end up with W equals 1. All right, let's look at number 4. Abby and Skylar both collect stamps. Abby has 10 stamps and collects 4 new stamps every week. Skylar has 60 stamps and collects 2 stamps every week. After how many weeks will Abby and Skylar have the same number of stamps? So we need to figure out what our important information is. So we know Abby has 10 stamps and collects 4 stamps each week. We have Skylar, who has 60 stamps and collects 2 new stamps every week. And what are we looking for? How many weeks will they have the same number of stamps? Okay, so that helps us. That takes our important information. So let's look at Abby first. Abby has 10 stamps, and she collects 4 more every week. So since it's every week, that tells you that you're going to be multiplying. So we're going to add to that 4 every week. Then we have Skylar, and Skylar has 60 stamps, and they collect 2 new stamps every week. So they're adding 2 each week. And since we're looking for the same, we're setting these equal to each other. All right, so let's solve. Let's move all of our variables to one side. I'm going to move my 2W to the left. That way I still have a positive variable. Okay, and since I moved all of my variables to the left side of my equation, now I have to move all of the numbers to the right side of my equation. So I'm going to do the opposite of 10. So I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. 60 minus 10 is 50. And one last step, I need to figure out what number times 2 is going to get me to 50. So I'm going to divide each side by 2, and W equals 25. All right, let's look at number 11. The measure of 2 angles are 3x plus 30 and 5x plus 8. What is the value of x if these angles are congruent? So right there, you need to understand what congruent means. Congruent means equal to. So we're just setting up an equation. I want to make both of those angles equally to each other. So 3x plus 30 has to equal 5x plus 18. And I need to figure out what value of x will make that statement true. Okay? I'm going to move my 3x. That way I still have a positive variable. 5x minus 3x is 2x. Since I moved all my variables to the right side, now I have to move my numbers to the left. $30 minus 18 is 12. And then what number can I plug in here to make this statement true? I need to divide both sides by 2, and x equals 6. You can always plug that back into both of your equations. If you plug in 6, so 3 times 6 plus 30 should equal 5 times 6 plus 18. Okay, that's a way that you can go back and double check that both sides, or that your equation is true. Okay, let's look at number 17. Okay, number 17, this one has the distributive property in it. So you need to remember when that number is outside your parentheses, you're distributing it to everything on the inside. So 7 times 3k is 21k, and 7 times a positive 8 is 56. Now we need to multiply 4 times everything inside these parentheses. 4 times 5k is 20k, and 4 times a negative 1 is negative 4. Okay, solving from there, move your variables to one side. I'm going to subtract 20k from both sides. This leaves me with 1k plus 56 equals negative 4. Now I have to move all of my numbers to the other side of my equation, so subtract 56 from both sides. And two negative numbers, when you're adding or subtracting them, you need to make sure that you are paying attention to your signs. We have negative 4 minus 56, so since they have the same sign, we're going to add them and keep the negative. So we have negative 60. All right, number 17 is done. Let's look at number 20. Number 20 here says 6 pies, more than 3 times the amount Faith baked yesterday, is 27. So looking at your equation, you're just trying to represent a statement that would make that true. Okay, 6 pies more than, so more than tells you that you're needing to add to it. So we're going to add 6 pies to something, we just don't know what that is yet. And then 3 times the amount Faith baked yesterday. 3 times, that means you're going to multiply 3 times something. And it says the amount that she baked yesterday. Well, we don't know how many she baked yesterday. So that's where our variable comes in. And you can use P for pies, X, it doesn't matter. And then is your important word that tells you it's equal to something, 27. So 6 pies more than, that's where we're adding our 6. 3 times the amount she baked yesterday. So she baked 3 times something. We don't know how many she baked. And then it is equal to 27. All right, let's do one more. Let's do number 26. All right, fractions. So when you have a fraction, you need to make sure that you have a common denominator. So we're going to start with that. I have 3 and 6 for a denominator, so I'm going to change my 1/3 to have a denominator of 6. So I'm just multiplying by 2. So I'm going to make this negative 2/6. Okay. All right. Now, solving, and you're going to solve it exactly like you were with decimals and whole numbers. Okay, so I'm going to move my variables to one side. I'm going to move a positive 26x to both sides. That way I still have that positive variable. These cancel. 5 6 plus 2 6 is 7 6 minus 16. Okay, since I moved all my variables to the right, now I need to move all my numbers to the left. So I'm going to add 16 to both sides. 21 equals 7 6 x. To get rid of a fraction, when you're multiplying a variable by a fraction, you're going to multiply by the reciprocal. So if I multiply this side by 7 6, I'm also going to multiply this side by 7 6. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to do the reciprocal. 6 sevenths. We have to flip it. Multiply by 6 over 7. 6 over 7. That looks better. All right, so if you're multiplying on this side, 7 times 6 is the same thing as 6 times 7, so you're just left with 1x. Over here, you can cross simplify or you can multiply straight across and simplify at the end. I'm going to simplify before multiplying. 7 goes into 21 3 times and 7 1 time. 3 times 6 is 18. 1 times 1 is 1. Your denominator is 1. You're going to have the same number. So we have 18. X should equal 18. Okay, remember you can look on Canvas if you need to check your answers for any of the other problems. All of the work is there set up for you.